Hey guys, and welcome back to another crime story video. Today we're gonna be talking about the case of the Black Widow of Leonidio. Her name was Stavroula Gavousi. This woman killed her daughter-in-law, her son's wife, because she thought she had a lover, and you can imagine the rest. In fact, this woman was the first woman to be executed after the Civil War. So let's start. So the first execution of a woman after the Civil War happened on the 27th of August of 1960. She was executed in St. John Theologos at Imitos. She had applied for her life to be spared, but that was rejected because the crime was that awful. Stavroula Gavousi from Leonidio of Arcadia became a widow in a small age, and she raised her two kids alone. Her one son worked in Athens. Her second son, Dimitris, lived with his wife, the 22-year-old Metaxia, and their one child at the village in Leonidio. Dimitris didn't have a stable job, and his wife Metaxia was the one that kept the house together. She was working at a bakery, and she also had some money and property from her parents. It's called prika here. It's like in weddings in the past, when people were getting married, the family of the wife used to give something to the family of the groom. It could be a house, it could be money, whatever they decided to give. Stavroula never liked Metaxia. She didn't see her in a good eye. Metaxia, when she was 17, she was married to Dimitris. So the couple got married when Metaxia was 17, and the crime, I think, took place when she was 22. So there was a 5-year of marriage. So Metaxia was 17 when she married Dimitris, and her mother-in-law, Stavroula, always thought that Metaxia was not loyal and she had lovers. And she didn't stop at that. She decided to make her son think that way about his wife as well. More specifically, the girl was already 5 months pregnant, but Stavroula kept saying to her son that the kid was not his own, but it was the child of his wife's lover. It's not wrong to say about the mother-in-laws, they are... So Stavroula convinced his son that she was right about thinking that the child was not his, and they made Metaxia get an abortion. They went to Argos, but no doctor would take on something like that, since since Metaxia was already 5 months pregnant, so it was too risky. It's important to note that the couple already had another child. One moment. Okay, I got a little mixed up with the dates and the ages. So I think Metaxia already had a child from when she was 17. Like throughout the 5 years of marriage, she already had another child. And when she was 22 and was still married, she was pregnant with this one, and she was 5 months pregnant. I got the dates mixed up a little bit and the ages as well, so I wanted to fact check. So throughout the 5 years of marriage, Metaxia already had a child with Dimitris, and this child she was pregnant with right now was at the age of 22. So it was most recent and after 5 years. And throughout those 5 years, of course, the mother-in-law, Stavroula, kept saying that she was having affairs. Let's get to the murder. After the couple came from came home from Argos on the 5th of January of 1959. They went by the house of their mother-in-law, so they would take their other child. They had some food and Metaxia laid down to get some rest. Then Stavroula, her mother-in-law, tied her arms and legs. She closed her mouth and she hit her a few times on the head, on the stomach and on the legs until Metaxia would pass out. Along with her son, they dragged her to the outside of the house and they threw her inside the well. As it seemed, the crime was planned beforehand, but it wasn't executed that well. They claimed that the girl had committed suicide. They had even made up a story that they would tell to the people around the village and to the police. On January 6th, Stavroula came home from church to her house. She supposedly found right next to the well some clothes, a pair of shoes and a bunch of pills, along with a note that says, Metaxia Georgiou Andrea committed suicide because Thalia wouldn't give her the money. I think Thalia was the person she was working for. Mitsos, my husband, is innocent, please don't hurt him. Then, supposedly, the mother-in-law was really upset and she started yelling, calling the neighbors, who went immediately to see what was going on. What gave the crime away, in a way, is that Stavroula was yelling and mourning because her daughter-in-law had died. But it was really weird because everyone at the village knew that she despised Metaxia. So it was really weird to hear her cry and yell like that for her daughter-in-law when she never really liked her daughter-in-law. So afterwards there was a report on this newspaper called Acropolis, where the neighbors of Stavroula said that when Stavroula saw the suicide note, she kept saying this lunatic did what she had said that she was gonna do. I found the well open and the clothes outside. Metaxia was paid from God like she deserved, and I don't think anything else other than if she fell down the well, she made our water dirty. But the evil mother-in-law hadn't organized the crime correctly, since when the police arrived and dragged up the unlucky girl, they saw the rope with which they had tied the girl, her legs and her arms, but also the bruises from the beating. They immediately realized there was no suicide, but it was an actual crime. Those speculations became stronger when the medical results came back from the test about how she died, that showed that the reason of death was choking around 7:30 at night, and not during the morning as the mother-in-law claimed. Also, Metaxia couldn't have gone outside to commit suicide while everyone else was gone, because everything was locked, so she wouldn't have had access. The police was now sure that this was a murder, and they arrested Stavroula and her son, and they brought them to the police station for interrogation. On January 8th of 1959, Dimitris confessed that he was an accomplice to his wife's murder, and he was only doing what he was told by his mother. I wrote a note that said that Metaxia committed suicide because her bosses owed her money that they wouldn't give her. I put that note on the top of the well, along with some pills that my wife had in her pocket. My mom put aside from the well the dry clothes of Metaxia and her shoes, so they would think that she fell inside by herself. Indeed, the next morning, her clothes were found on the well from my mother, who started yelling, claiming that her daughter-in-law had committed suicide. After his statement, and after his mother finding out about his statement, he started yelling at his son, blaming him. "Look at the snake I raised. Is that how you repay all the sacrifice I've made for you?" And she kept refusing those accusations. When she was asked by the journalist, she said that her son was trying to get her involved. He keeps saying that I pushed her down the well after I tied her entire body with ropes. He's trying to get me to jail. If my son is executed, he deserves it. Her son also responded to those accusations, saying that I had nothing to do with her. She was really nice and polite. You hated her and you decided on her death. I regret the time that I listened to you. Why would I kill her? The trousers that I'm wearing, she got that for me the same day that you killed her. The morning we went to Argos. And didn't she take care of you? You are the one that would constantly yell and hit her. And she was dumb enough to just sit around and be on the other side of this. After seeing that there was no way out, Stavroula finally confessed her action, and both her and her son received the worst of penalties, and that was death. Stavroula was moved to the jail of, the women's jail in Averov in Athens, and Dimitris went to the jail in Kerkyra. On the 27th of August of 1960, Stavroula was executed on Imitos, and on September 2nd, in the area of Alikes of Kerkyras, so was Dimitris. According to the report on the journal Eleftheria, Freedom, Dimitris, on his confession before his execution, he told the priest that he wasn't on board about the execution and the murder of his wife, but his mother made him do it because the two of them were having an affair. And that was a plot twist. But it's really not surprising. There are a lot of stories about mother-in-laws not accepting their son-in-laws or daughter-in-laws and going to extreme lengths to make sure their child is worth taking care of. But after all, it's not always about the child. It's just because they don't want their child to be anyone else's but their own. Anyways, I'll see you in the next crime story video.